Are you looking for a new database for your organization? Does your old organization's database have holes, have big gaping problems? We at the Loft, not recently, actually about 9 years ago, started looking at a way to make our organizational database more user-friendly, more comprehensive for our organization, and all around better to fit our mission. When we started looking, we looked at some really big box pictures, big box software programs. We looked at custom design. We looked at modifying our existing database to do what we wanted to do. Our original database was programmed by 3 different programmers. The first one was an intern a volunteer who had worked for the CIA or someplace, and the security level in that database was incredibly insane. And of course that person left and we were left with the database. The second programmer was an organizational programmer, but his level of expertise also went only so far. And he put in some new features, but of course they were patched onto existing features and didn't work all that great. Our third programmer really knew what he was doing, and he made do with what we had, and he added to it and helped me learn what our Access database was able to do and how to manipulate it. But he wasn't really interested in building a whole new database when it came time to really make the change. So what we did was we hired a consultant to look at, should we go with a box program or should we go with a custom? And at that time, in 2002, I guess it was, there weren't really any web database providers, but there are those now as well. We chose to go with a custom provider, which has been quite an adventure. The reasoning behind the box versus the custom programming for us was that the boxes that were out there that we could find information on were, for example, Razor's Edge. And for us, that felt like driving a Winnebago when you really need a Vespa. Besides, it was expensive. Every year you pay update fees, and there are fees for each module, and it didn't seem very accessible to us. The custom options that we looked at seemed to be more accessible. They seemed to be, a one-time fee with ongoing maintenance, but that we would own the software, we would own the code, and we thought, well, if we got a really good product put together, then maybe we could sell the opportunity to others to work with our programmer. We would sell the code, they could buy the updates or the customization for them through our programmers, and it would be a win-win for everybody. We've offered it a couple of times, but nobody's taken us up on it yet. And our first programmer was overly optimistic, shall we put it. He worked for 4.5 years for us on this database that he told us would take 90 days. And at some point we finally said, this isn't working really well. What you've done is really good, and it's a great place to step off from, but we really need this finished. And so at that point, we hired a larger firm that had more experience in Access and SQL. At that point, we had added the back end as SQL Server and the front end as Access so that we could get in and move around in it, but not mess anything up too badly. And that programmer has taken us the rest of the way. It's taken us an additional 3 or 4 years to get there. So that's why I say it's been an adventure. It's always growing. It's always changing. We have added a number of modules, a couple of which we don't use anymore because the organization has changed. And I would say the thing to look at is, for the box products, does the majority of what the box offers fit your needs? You'll always have to customize some piece of it, but if the majority doesn't fit, and in our case, Razor's Edge didn't have a really good educational module or a really good contest module. So that was our deciding point. We took that in, and we have made those things ourselves. Another thing is, will you be able to fund the ongoing fees? Our database has ended up costing us about 4 times what we thought it would cost, but it's still less than what we'd have paid for Razor's Edge and the big box products. So we feel like we're probably okay. The time, do you need it now? Do you need it in 6 months? Do you need it in 9 years? We built ours module by module, so we had the contact piece in place and the membership piece in place right away. We added education directly after that, and then we added our development, our fundraising portion at that, and then we pulled in our programs and some like studio rental pieces and volunteer and work study pieces and all kinds of different things over the time. So it's not like we spent 9 years and didn't have something to work on, but it would have been nice to get it done a little quicker than that. I think that's probably good.